anything that has to do with emotion or liberation has to do with you and me. And here's what we're here for. We're here to liberate each other. There's been decades and centuries of slavery within the human race, and not just slavery of the physical self, but slavery of the human mind, slavery of the soul. And the only thing we can really do that is more powerful than anything we could ever imagine is free one another. In order to be free and to feel liberated and loved in this world, we have to liberate ourselves first and be honest with one another. And the reason I'm talking about honesty is because I want you today to be really honest with yourself. And that is something that may be really hard to do because we live in a suppressive culture. You're this beautiful piece of energy that's been told to keep a secret. And this secret is your own expression. When you're a little baby and you're in a restaurant and you're crying at the dinner table and your mom or dad turn to you and go, shh, they're signaling a symbol of suppression to you, because to the baby's mind, the baby is being told what you have to say right now is not important. The emotion you desire to emote is not necessary, and it's not really allowed right now. And that simple act, we tell the child more than we could even comprehend as adults, because as adults we forget that the child is a little sponge absorbing every single piece of information it's given. The reason I bring this up is because our culture is very suppressed. Many of us are taught that our feelings don't matter simply because we're not really taught about our feelings. If we're not taught about something or other, we're led to believe it doesn't really matter. We don't have teachings on emotional processing for little kids. We don't have teachings on meditation, on how to sit with yourself and really understand yourself. And because of that, we have a confused culture filled with crazy people. And they're not really crazy, they're just confused and out of touch with who they are. And because of this out of touchness, they find themselves doing things they wouldn't really do if they knew who they were. Every one of you is probably thinking of someone you know right now. Another person is probably thinking of you right now. We've probably all shown crazy sides to ourselves before. It's just part of being a human, you know? Don't be hard on yourself. Everyone's crazy sometimes. We want to talk about the fact that our culture doesn't really understand emotion. If we did, I think we would have a lot less intense moments within this westernized society where people are perhaps hurt by other people. And instead of projecting our internal confusion upon the world and causing pain upon other people because we are in pain, we would know how to actually deal with our pain and go to the root of the issue rather than creating a projection upon the external world around us. Talking about emotion saves people from doing silly things because it allows them to learn how to work with their own emotion if we do it right. Today I want to talk about the emotion anger, because I feel like anger is one of the most suppressed emotions. Anger is one of the most primordial, natural, instinctive energies that comes through us, and it can be so uncomfortable, especially when your society doesn't give you an outlet for this anger, especially when you're a little kid and you're sitting at the lunch table and you feel this anger and you don't know what to do with it, and so it just bubbles up inside of you until you think you're really weird. And then you carry this anger with you for a long, long time until you end up being 36 years old, and one day you're at the office meeting and you explode upon a person named Larry. You spit your smoothie out at them and you tell them that they're stupid. That's what anger does, you know? Anger has this interesting way of just coming out of us at the most random, but not so random, of moments, because anger is a natural necessity to the human body. It's a natural part of the human experience. And when we don't allow ourselves to feel our anger and to understand it, our anger boils over eventually. Even if it takes to the point where you are 60 years old or 90 years old, your anger is going to catch up with you if you don't allow yourself to understand it and befriend it. And that's the best thing you can do, is befriend it. How do you befriend your anger? You accept it. That's how you become friends with anyone. You really want to be a good friend? Accept the person you're around. That's really hard to do, by the way. A lot of us don't do it. A lot of us think we accept the people we're with, but in reality, we are only viewing tiny particles of these people, unaware of the larger aspects of themselves that they too hide because they too do not accept themselves. Many of us are learning self-acceptance, and we're learning it slowly, and that's okay. And we can help other people by accepting them. We can help our anger by accepting our anger. And so how do we accept our anger? Well, this is going to sound a little weird, but this is what I do, and this has actually helped me and some other people a lot. When I'm feeling anger, I sit with it, and I hold it, and sometimes I hold my heart if I need to, and I talk to it. I say, it's okay that you're here right now. I understand why you're here. I give my anger validation and understanding. That's what we have to do. Because since we live in a very suppressive society, so many of us are used to punishing ourselves for the sheer experience of emotion. Especially those of us in the spiritual culture, we see emotion as the devil. Emotion's not a devil. Emotion's an angel waiting to be held. Emotion is a part of your guidance system. It's a part of you that's waiting to be embraced and loved and understood. Emotion is simply a message from your heart to your head. And the minute you can receive this message and give it a kiss is the minute this emotion usually releases itself. How does emotional release experience itself? Well, when you release emotions, you feel them. That's what a lot of people really don't understand. Like, when you actually release emotions, you're going through the process of feeling them in that moment. And a lot of us don't like going through that process. A lot of us like to intellectually observe and contemplate our emotions rather than feel them. If you're not going to feel your emotions, then you're not going to fully receive the message of your emotions. Because these feelings, they're there for you to experience a part of you, a perception that you hold. Perhaps if you feel uncomfortable in some sort of situation, you feel anger. That anger is there to tell you that you're not comfortable. Perhaps when you have a childhood wound come up, you feel anger. That anger is there to tell you the childhood wound may not be fully processed. And it's time to feel it. It's time to listen to it and understand it. Honestly, that's the trick when it comes to anger, is just learning to be next to it, close to it, learning to sit with it. Sometimes I get really angry and I sit with my anger for a long time. And sometimes it feels like it's not really going away, and that's because there may be a lot of it. And in that moment, my primary desire, my primary need is to accept that anger and say, it's okay that you're here. A lot of people do experience like cathartic release with anger. They'll go out into the forest and yell, or they'll paint and scream. That can work too, as long as you're really feeling your anger while you do it, and you're not yelling as a means to distract yourself from the anger. If you're able to look yourself in the eyes and be honest with yourself about the emotions you're feeling, then you're going to be that much closer to who you are. You're going to understand yourself on a deeper level than you ever imagined. But first, you have to sit with yourself and validate yourself. And this is going to feel really good over time. In the beginning, it's going to feel really weird. It's going to feel like you're all vulnerable, and you're going to feel maybe like odd. But if you continue to do it, you're going to have this tool within your own psyche where you know exactly how to tap into yourself at any point in time.